everybody. We are live, and I am here today with the Imperfect Carnivore UK.
Hello,
So,
how are you?
hello. Yeah, I am doing just fine on this. It's 8 a.m., so I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to tackle the day. It was supposed to rain today, but it is not raining.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, I'm feeling good and happy to be here with you and having a conversation across the pond, I guess.
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So welcome to my channel. And can you just tell us a little bit about your history, how you got started with carnivore?
I won't bore you too much because my previous history is pretty much the same as most women my age. Loads of
Mm,
on and off low fat dieting, trashing your hormones, trashing your ability to be able to lose weight. And then 9 years ago, I was ready for a change, and I was on Twitter, and the husband of Amber O'Hearn, um, he um, he said to me, "Well, it's amazing that you are willing to give up this and that, but what if you're willing to give up everything but meat?" And that sort of piqued my interest. And
mm,
then I started following Amber O'Hearn, his wife at the time, and then
mhm,
got involved in the carnivore social groups, which were quite small at the time because 9 years ago we didn't have the YouTube channels that we do now and the Facebook groups that we do now. And then realised that carnivore was the proper human diet and the answer to all of my problems. And avoiding problems later on. So, and now my channel is imperfect though because I'm not perfect all the time. My journey has been bumpy, and we can talk about that later as to why it's been bumpy. But I'm a voice for the people that know this is the proper human diet, but for some reason their journey's been off and on in the past, and that it's okay. Come to my channel and you feel okay. That's what I'm doing. Don't know how much you want to expand on how I found carnivore, really. I've tried to give you the summary there.
Yeah, no, that was a good summary. I like Amber O'Hearn, and I didn't know about her husband though talking about this, so that's cool. I'll have to go look for him. So once you went carnivore, like when you first heard about it, I know some people say, "Well, I heard about it, but I just thought it was absolutely crazy." Other people heard about it and thought, "Yeah, that's right," and dove right in. Did it take you some time, or did something just click?
It really didn't take me any time at all. I was so ready for a change. I was quite a bit bigger than I am now. I had lots of problems like gastritis and psoriasis and just lots of different things going on, which I can go into in a minute. And I was really ready for a change. And what scares me is I could have ended up down the plant-based route because I was so open for a change at that point. I could have literally stumbled in any direction, and I'm so glad I stumbled in the
Mm.
meat direction. Because at that point I was so open-minded for change. I could have literally gone down the vegan route for a while. So pleased I wasn't. But I just frantically was looking for information, following people like Kelly Hogan, Charles Washington, Dana Shute, all those original members of Zeroing In on Health who
Mm.
just had great stories to tell, and everything just made so much sense. Um, and I found the lower I went down the plant food chain, the better I was. The more meat I ate, the better I felt. My gastritis cleared up straight away. My psoriasis cleared up straight away. So already I knew I was onto the right thing. Um, no, I wasn't on the fence at all. I just jumped straight in, and I'm just so glad I just stumbled among the right community first time. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask you but you answered it. Like, were you tempted then to go plant-based? Because we all know how much that narrative is kind of pushed and as
that's
something
really got
healthy.
stronger. Yeah, that's really got stronger, and I could so easily have accidentally gone down the wrong path and made my health worse. So I feel blessed in a way that I just somebody just popped out. Somebody was looking at me and said, "This is the way to go."
Mhm,
But then I
mhm.
have to say though that I'm interested in ancestry, and this is my grandmother, and she ate a lot of meat. This is my she was
Wow.
the healthiest the healthiest elderly person that's ever gone through my family, and she was married to a butcher and ate a lot of meat, and she was
Okay.
against drugs, and she was against the pharmaceutical industry. So I feel like her influence combined with just happening to stumble along the right community, and I was just all in, and I will defend the carnivore lifestyle all day long, even if I'm even if it's not going well for me on that particular day, I will still defend it all day long. Yeah.
Right. So can you talk a little bit more about being imperfect? Because I like that you just put that out there because you've had incredible benefits, which, as you say, we can get into in a minute because I would like to get into that. So even
Mhm.
being imperfect though you may be, right, you still see, the benefits of carnivore. And I like that you just put that out there because,
Yeah.
I'm not perfect either, maybe in a different way from you. But it makes you realize, like, gosh, progress over perfection here,
Yeah.
and you're going to be
Yeah.
so much better off. So what's your philosophy about that, or how have you been, I don't know, living the imperfect carnivore way?
For a start, I'd like to put it out there that I'm not someone that's promoting cheating in any way. I'm not someone that says, let's go and cheat everyone. It's fine. It's just that some of us have been through a life over the last few years that's been a bit bumpy. Things have gone wrong.
Mm,
Um, for example, I'll just give you one example of things that have gone wrong in that 21 months ago, I had to nurse my mother in the final hours of her life, and I had to move in with her for a few weeks and take care of her. She didn't want anyone else to look after her, and I had to take care of her. I also had my children to look after. And at that point in my life, I wasn't the slightest bit interested in what I was eating. I was living from breathing hour to hour, just getting through. And those last few weeks of her life, um, I wasn't interested in what I was eating. A lot of women my
mhm,
age are taking care of elderly parents and children at the same time, and sometimes you press the pause button, but you can get back to it. And my philosophy is, if you had to press the pause button, that's fine. Just get back to it the second you can, the next mouthful if you can. But
mhm,
I think is a bit of a taboo. It's a bit like the vegan community saying, "Oh well, she wasn't vegan enough because she ate fish 2 years ago, so she wasn't being vegan enough." But I think there can be people in the carnivore community that say, well, she was caring for her mother 6 months ago, and I know for a fact she had a couple of sandwiches. So really, she wasn't really being carnivore enough. And I think there's a big community of people who know it's the proper human diet. They've had amazing health benefits. They feel fantastic. They've absolutely determined that it's the right way to eat, but their journey has been up and down, and it is okay, and that they still have a voice. They are still allowed to talk about their journey, their experience. But people have said to me, maybe you're just promoting cheating. I don't think I do. I think I just say it's okay if we've had a difficult time. Just keep coming back to it. Keep eating your meat. And I think we've
mhm.
got a very healthy, promising future ahead of us, even if it's not 100% perfect. That's my thing. That's why my channel was set up, really.
Yeah, I think that's a really healthy way to look at it. And I think your channel is set up to help so many people. Like, I just interviewed someone the other day who is a teacher as well, a music teacher. And, she's like exactly what you said, right? And she's struggling to like get started and stay started, stay going.
Yeah,
So it's like, I think that's so inspiring for people that struggle with that. Yeah, thanks, BK.
yeah,
Nobody's perfect. Nobody is perfect. None of us. So it's okay to be yourself. Yeah, my thing is, I started keto, went ketovore, now carnivore. But I may have some stevia. I still drink coffee. Like, those things are plants. And maybe I'd be healthier if I got rid of them, but I'm just not ready to get rid of them right now.
yeah,
And so it's fine for now. Maybe someday I will, but I'm not going to beat myself up about that's what makes this sustainable for me.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
like
don't get me wrong. I really appreciate the people that can stick to it. I mean, there's no better way of selling this way of lifestyle, this lifestyle, than the people that are doing it. We do need people there that to say, I've been eating ribeye for just 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and look at me and look how healthy I am. We do need those people. But I
mhm.
do think it's important that everyone that's improved their health, eating more meat and less plants, is allowed to speak. Basically,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's my theory. And I've
So
got all these health benefits, even with I've got them all written down so I don't forget them, which is nice. And I've got hope for
yeah.
my future, which is my other reason. And I'll talk about my mother again in a minute, because she suffered with a lot of health problems that I believe could have been prevented with a better diet. And I had to nurse her through all those problems: joint removal, reproductive system removal, thyroid removal, and then she had a hip replaced. Then she had all these different cancers, and I have this feeling in my heart that she actually could have prevented all those things by knowing what I know. And so I have hope. I have hope for my future. I'm 48 now. I'm nearly going to be 49 soon, and I think it's about disease prevention for me too. It's about having hope. I want to know that I'm doing the right thing for my future health, and I believe I am. So
Yeah,
that's
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 another
how I
way
look.
that I resonate with you, because for me, it wasn't my mom. She's actually meat-based keto now and she's doing fantastic, but it was
Ah,
my dad. It was my dad, that's passed
um,
on and went through
um,
the type 2 diabetes and the
yeah.
Alzheimer's and the mental health
Oh,
struggles,
mhm.
and all of that. And it was not pretty. And the sad thing
Sorry to
is
hear that.
my mom followed me into this way of eating like 2 months after I did. That was after my dad was already gone. So that's what I mean. I know. And everyone says, don't beat yourself up. You don't, and I'm like, I'm not, but I'm just stating, like, this is how I know that if I had known about it sooner, right, she would have gotten him eating this way too, because she cooked all the food.
Yeah.
And so it just makes
Well,
me sad because he,
yeah.
declined and just went through all of that a lot sooner than was necessary,
Mhm.
you know, trying to follow the advice of the doctors, taking the statins and all of that stuff. So it just,
Yeah.
I feel the same way, that I was maybe headed for some Alzheimer's in my future.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm not. So
Yeah.
I definitely, I hear you. But talking about your health benefits, I would love for you to share some of those, with us, because 9 years is a long time. 9 years, wow.
And do it for long stretches. I do it for months at a time. I mostly do it because all the while I'm doing it, I experience a reduction in gastritis. I was diagnosed with gastritis in 2002, and along with
Mhm,
that, I have got IBS symptoms, nausea, acid, things like that, acid reflux. When I eat just meat, that's gone. If I eat other things, it returns. So I know that
mm,
my body wants me to eat meat. Every day it reminds me. I reversed pre-diabetes. That was actually ramping up a little bit again around when my mum died. My blood sugars were starting to go up a little bit, but
mm,
after she passed away, I did a really good long stretch and got my sugars back down to where they should be in the perfect range. I've also noticed I got rid of varicose veins, which I hadn't even realized was a thing until I saw somebody else's video. There's all these different videos pop up, and you think, oh, wow,
yeah.
that's true. My varicose veins have completely disappeared. Insomnia. If I don't eat well, I wake up in the middle of the night with some kind of hypo going on. As long as I eat just meat, I sleep beautifully. Psoriasis. I have to give up dairy to keep the psoriasis at bay. So it all depends on whether I'm eating cheese or not. If I don't, the psoriasis clears up. No brain fog or mental issues or anxiety or depression, which does run in my family. My
Mm,
father, mother, and brother, severe, severe depression. My brother still suffers with it. He's 2 years younger than me, and he's had severe depression for 10 years. So I like to keep doing this in the hope that it stops me going that way. I like,
mhm,
I just hope my monthly issues have resolved. I had an overactive bladder that's resolved. And all the while I'm eating carnivore, no carb cravings and hunger, no joint pain either. That's another thing. If I eat food I'm not supposed to, my knees start crunching and hurting. If I eat just meat, all of my joints just work beautifully. It's just like a switch. I think it's so fascinating how we can switch these little ailments on and off just by the way we eat. I tell people about it all the time, but no one really listens. Why I've set up my channel, so that I can tell people about it.
right.
Avoiding obesity as well. Okay, I'm not skinny. I'm not, but I could be a lot bigger than I am had I not known about carnivore, because I am a massive carb eater, massive sugar eater, and I could easily be 100, a couple, 200, 300 pound more than I am now have I not known about carnivore. So I'm kind of avoiding severe obesity. No
Mhm,
teeth sensitivity, less colds, all day energy, 5 inches off my waist. But it's also the disease prevention as well. It's about what can I avoid? Can I keep all my body parts? I had to see my mum give up all her reproductive system when I was 13, and then she lost her thyroid when she was my age, and
mm,
she lost one hip, the other one was giving up, and then all her cancer problems later on. multiple medication for this, medication for that, and then medication for the side effects for that. And I'm not on any medication, and I plan never to be. So, there's all these different things that keep me, eating my meat and staying happy. How about you?
Yeah.
But you've had health benefits too.
Oh my gosh. So, like I said, I started keto and I lost a little weight doing that, but that was it, like as far as benefits. But I didn't know there were other benefits. I sort of accidentally went
Right.
carnivore out of laziness, of just not wanting to
Yeah.
cook the vegetables, and
Yeah.
I like the ribeye better. And
Yeah.
so when I started doing that and just going with like the meat and the fat, the first thing I
Yeah.
noticed was that I must have had a case of social anxiety that I didn't even know I had. And it was gone. So I used to not want to go outside my house. Like I used to think people were like looking at me and being judgmental all the time and like worried about like, oh, they think I look fat today. They think I have something on my face. They think my hair is, not cute or whatever. I was just spinning in my brain about what other people thought, because how dare I be out in public, right? And I just kind of chalk that up to because I am an introvert, and because it just kind of the decline was like so slow. I didn't really
Yeah.
notice how bad it
Yeah.
got until after going carnivore. My son had been invited to an amusement park with a friend that I didn't really know. And I was like, with their family. And I was like, well, yeah, you can go if I go. Like, who am I right now? These words that are coming out of my mouth, I wouldn't have wanted to go to a place with thousands and thousands of people,
No,
with strangers
amazing.
that I don't know. And I was just able to do that and enjoy the day. So yeah, I don't have any more, I can go for walks outside. Like I'm still an introvert, don't get me wrong, but I don't have anxiety over, social situations. For sure the
No.
brain fog was real. It was like fighting through, like trying to push it out of the way. To get through my
Mm.
day teaching, you have to be relatively, mentally sharp,
Yeah.
you
You
know,
do.
to teach kids. And they say that we teachers make more decisions than, like a brain surgeon, because it's just constant
Oh, yeah.
evaluating and decision making all day long. And so that was getting
Yeah.
harder and harder to do, right? And then to have the energy, to make the classroom a place where my students want to be, and not just do the bare minimum, right? My
Yeah.
sleep, like you said, way better. My knees,
Mm.
my knees didn't crack, but my right knee would sort of swell up. Like now I can do squats. I do squats and I do sprinting, and my knee doesn't bother me at all. But before this, I wouldn't have been able to do that, as well as my right hand. So I'm right-handed, so I think it was in my right hand before my left hand, just because of all the, the writing. Yeah, it doesn't hurt anymore. So all my knuckles and joints used to kind of ache, and now they don't. I had pretty severe like cystic acne, you know, here.
Yeah.
I mean, I still get them from time to time, but nothing like it was.
Right.
My skin is a lot more like glowy looking in general. Even like I don't wear makeup, and my skin just kind of has this glow to it that it didn't have before. I
Yeah.
wish my hair was getting darker like yours. I've heard you say that your hair is getting darker. I'm like, that's amazing. We're
Yeah.
the same age.
I don't,
I'm 48 as
I don't
well.
have, I haven't got much grey, which is nice. Because
Yeah.
my mum went grey at 19, and I'm 48 and still not really grey. So that's nice. And the better I
Wow.
eat, the better the dark hair comes through. But
Yeah.
I think someone sent a message through. What's that one say?
Oh,
BK.
that's Marvin. Hello, Marvin from East Texas, carnivore for life. Is that the one you meant?
The one before, actually,
um,
but the second, it's all right.
oh
But it's
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
Sorry.
This one. Carnivore reduced my chronic lower back pain for 80%, and I don't take statins, sugar pills, or painkillers. I lost 110 pounds with carnivore and started with keto. It's fantastic,
Great.
BK. Yeah, yeah. So,
Fantastic.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't
It's
have them all
interesting.
written down.
That's okay. It's interesting what you said about the social anxiety, though, because my mother, that's something else she suffered with. She couldn't go out in public. She couldn't walk into a restaurant to meet people, even if she knew that people were that she knew were in the restaurant. She couldn't physically get out of her car, open the door, and go in there And it's interesting what you've said there. If I could have just shown this to her when she was still alive, that would have been
Mhm.
interesting.
Well,
Because yeah, had everything wrong. Nothing worked on her at all, really. And but
yeah.
she wouldn't
Wow,
listen
it
to me. It's
sounds
amazing that you put your mum on board because my mum wouldn't listen to me at all. In fact, she said, if you ever mention the word keto to me, I never want to hear the word keto under this roof
mm,
ever again. Stop talking about it. And at that point,
wow.
I had to quit. So I did
Yeah.
really try. I really annoyed her by trying to get her healthier, but she chose her route and sadly passed away at 71. And that was her choice. Well, it wasn't her choice to die, obviously, but it was her choice to follow the doctors and not research into alternative ways. And she did it her way. And sadly, it didn't really work for her. But we can only try. We can't get the horse to drink the water, can we? So
Yeah, it sounds like your mom had a lot of it was, like, physical and mental. It was, like, all the things.
lots, all the
My mom
things.
is
Yeah,
currently 71, but she's always been healthy. Now, what's funny to me is she'll say that she thinks she comes from, like, healthy stock, and I'm like,
yeah.
"Do you remember what happened to your parents? Because they both had cancer." Like,
Oh,
they lived into their 70s, but, like, her mom had cancer. That's not what she died from, but she had
right.
cancer, and then her dad died from cancer.
Oh,
Her parents were divorced and they had remarried, but her stepmom, was I can remember as a kid, she was very into like the whole low fat, eat your cereal. No, I'm not making you bacon and eggs. Like, eat this
yeah,
cereal. And I'm like, I don't think he would have died of cancer. I don't know exactly how old he was, but I think in his
yeah,
70s. I don't think that would have happened, had she not switched their diet like that. Like, I don't blame her,
yeah,
like, just like I don't blame myself for not knowing because she didn't know. She thought she was following all the guidelines, right? We're going to eat this
yeah,
non-fat milk,
yeah.
non-fat yogurt,
Mhm.
cereal, all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure. And then she later, died of a stroke, like, randomly, but
Yeah,
she was on high blood
yeah.
pressure medicine that I didn't know about until she all of a sudden she just like died of a stroke in her house and they found her there. And it
Oh,
was
that's
really
sad.
sad because she wasn't like overweight, like you couldn't see any outward signs of anything wrong. She was like running places, like literally, like she
Yeah,
running around, and
yeah,
seemed
yeah,
really healthy, and then just
yeah,
up and had a stroke. So just very sad. But anyway, my mom will say that, but I'm like, but your parents both had cancer. Like, her mom had rheumatoid arthritis to
yeah.
the point that her hands were all like, gnarled kind of looking and stuff. And I'm
Oh,
like,
that sounds bad.
yeah, it was bad. And so, anyways, but my mom has never been on medications, but like her hands were starting to get quite arthritic.
Yeah,
And she says she doesn't have any more joint pain in her hands.
fantastic.
Since going keto. And like I said, she's learned from me. So she still eats some veg, but she's like meat based, a lot of beef,
Yeah, yeah.
keto. And, she walks all the time, like more than me, 15,000 steps a day. She just got back from Greece. She took a trip to Greece. She's coming to Austin, Texas with me. We're going to go to Hack Your Health, formerly KetoCon. So she's going to
Oh,
Texas
yeah,
with me to go do that. And so it's like she's like this active person, and she lives in a senior development, with other seniors. And, I've gone over there, and she's, you can see the other people and you can compare them to her. And
oh,
it's
yeah,
like
oh, yeah,
night and day difference, right? And she
oh, yeah.
helps them.
Mhm.
Like, she pulls their weeds, does stuff like that,
Brilliant.
because she just, and I think she just saw me. Like, I think she may have asked me. I don't really remember. And then she didn't tell me she was going to start. It was just like she started and then I heard after the fact.
That's
But she's
amazing.
lost like 30 pounds. She's, just feeling really great. She feels all this energy that she didn't have before. And so, yeah, I'm excited because I think I'm going to get to have my mom around for a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You're never going to get
so
rid of her now.
right,
No,
right. The good news is I don't want to.
no,
Yeah, she's
no,
I love her. She's the
no.
best. Yeah.
I say to my kids that you're going to have me until I'm 120, and you're going to be saying, "Oh gosh, when will Mummy die? 120? This is ridiculous. When are we going to get our inheritance?"
Oh
And
my
I'll just
goodness.
still be going, with my pink hair and just going for a run when I'm 120. They won't be able to get rid of
Yeah.
me. It'd be fantastic.
I hope so.
But
I mean, that's fantastic.
that's the
So,
goal.
do you
But
have
yeah, it's
so
interesting
how
what you
old are
say
your
about. Sorry,
No, I was just going to
sorry.
ask about your kids. How old are you? Cuz since
My
we're
two,
the same age, I was curious.
no, they're 18 and 12.
Okay.
The 18-year-old has done some keto carnivore, and he did very, very well on it. But at the moment, he just wants to do what his friends are doing. So he's in really good health. He's slim. He's muscly. He's not. Neither of them have a weight problem. They both eat a lot of meat, but they both, he wants to go out with his mates and just do the same things they're doing. I said, but that's fine. You know it's there. You know that the keto carnivore lifestyle is the best one. You felt it yourself. When you're older or when you need to, it's there for you. I know he's not going to go plant-based. So yeah, he's healthy. And the other one eats bacon for most meals, and he's actually got a visible six pack. So they're pretty healthy. I'm
Nice.
really happy. Yeah. Yeah. But it's
Yeah,
interesting what you said about the grandparents, because I had two grandparents. One of them, one that was married to the butcher, who was extremely healthy, against medication, perfect brain. And my other grandmother, though, she fell for all the low fat, high grain nonsense, plant-based. She always had a healing book that was a plant-based healing book on the go. And she died with very severe dementia. I mean, she was in a home for years and not with
Hmm.
us for a long time. Whereas, my healthy grandmother that ate a load of meat, she never ever once lost her mind. Her joints never hurt. She was never sick. And
Mm.
I think we need to take notice of our ancestors more than we do a headline on the front of the newspaper. I'm going to take their experiences with their life and their health over any so-called nutrition science paper. I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
interested in
100%,
I'm not
especially because
interested in the guidance.
right, and
Yeah,
especially because their genes, they pass those down to you, right? So, I mean, if
yeah,
if you can see with these genes, like this did well and this didn't. I mean, that's kind of
yeah.
awesome. You have like that. You have both examples, that you
Oh
can
yeah,
kind
polar
of
opposite.
compare. Mm-hmm.
Absolute polar opposite results and the way that they lived and ate. One of them was on medication for this plant-based, grains and low fat, cutting the fat off everything. The other one was completely against pharmaceutical industry. Basically told me to not take any notice of the pharmaceutical. She never went to the doctor for anything. Wouldn't even take a painkiller for a headache. She didn't even get headaches. I don't think she was so unbelievably healthy. She had two big chest freezers full of fatty beef that her husband, my grandfather, brought home from his butcher shop, and they were just lived on. And I think after the war, after the Second World War, they probably lived on mostly meat because that's what they could get. Because he was a
Mm,
butcher at that point, a local butcher,
yeah.
and he would have got anything that could have been left over. They had it, and so I should imagine that in the late 40s and early 50s, they were eating primarily fatty meat, and she never once fell for the low fat nonsense. She had real butter in her fridge, full fat milk, right until her death. She never took any notice of
Mm,
the low fat. But my other grandmother fell for everything, and it was a very horrible end for her life. And if there's anything I can do to make my health and my life as vibrant as possible and stay off those meds, I will do it. So
yeah. So a lot of times when people go carnivore, I've noticed that then they start to look at like other factors in their life, like, okay, the diet change has made me feel this way and this good. Like, what other factors are there in my life? So I know you have a big one. You have a big life change that you were telling me about before we having to do with stress before we
yeah.
came on live. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I'm very excited for you.
Well, I'm excited because for the last few years, I've been actually working with special needs children. And even though it's a rewarding position and can be a lot of fun, it's also can be quite stressful on the body because I was in a permanent state of fight or flight all day long, every minute of all day long, in a constant state of high adrenaline, high cortisol, fight or flight, stressed all the time. And I have looked into stress quite a lot. And I think one of the reasons I have struggled to lose weight myself is because of this constant state of stress.
Hmm.
And I've been looking for a different role. That I'm actually still going to stay. I'm going to stay in education, but I'm actually going to go back to early years and work with 3-year-olds, and I'm going to do painting with them, and they're going to drive around on their little trikes, and I'm just going to take photographs of them, and I feel as though it's going to be less stressful. It's also a school that's near to me, so I can walk every day. We're just coming into the more daylight hours. I'm also very into light environment as well, and I like the idea of, instead of driving in my car to work in a stressful school, I'm going to be walking in natural light to an environment that's hopefully a lot less stressful, and I think that's going to make a big impact on my body as well. Um, and I'm going to be leaving a lot later, so I've got time to cook a really nice, big, healthy breakfast. So I'm not eating just cold meat in the car, miserable. So yeah, there's going to be big changes. I'm
Yeah.
I'm very excited to have a hot breakfast every morning, and then walk to work. I'm
Mhm.
seriously excited about that. I think it's going to make a big difference to my life. Uh,
I'm very excited for you. I hear you. We have a lot of special needs kids on my campus, and they do some stuff that, they take their clothes off, they run away, they escape the school.
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
imagine being the adult. I mean, it stresses me out when I see it, or they'll just run into the hallway, flop down, and start like pitching a fit. And when you hear that,
yeah,
your
yeah.
stress level I'm not even in charge of them, but just hearing them completely losing it out there in the hallway. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I have a
so
child. The child I work with at the moment is very controlling, and that he has his way all day long. And even if you're doing the right thing, it's still wrong. And I'm just constantly stressed, and I need
mm,
out. So I'm actually very excited about changing now to a new role. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's very rewarding, and someone's got to do it. And I do laugh sometimes, but I am in a constant state of stress the whole
Hmm.
time I'm there, and that is not good for women over a certain age to be in a constant state. And I am blaming that on the fact that when I am doing carnivore, I don't really lose a great deal of weight. Um, Also, along with some low iron levels, I think my stress is is causing my body to just not be happy with me. Because even on a carnivore diet, if you're constantly stressed, your blood sugar can be slightly elevated
Hmm.
as a sort of a link to that fight or flight thing. The body is constantly thinking, I need to run away from a saber-toothed tiger, and that's not good to be in that state all day long. So I resigned from my job last week, and I start there in a couple of weeks, and I couldn't be happier about that.
I
I'm
bet just
excited to
turning
leave.
in that resignation paperwork felt really good.
Yeah,
Just
I've been
the
walking around
lifting.
like a 20-year-old unicorn. I'm
Yeah.
leaving. Yes.
And
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah.
people around you are a little jealous. Like whenever somebody
They are.
retires, people are like, oh, and the people retiring are like, this many more days, this many more days. And we're like, yeah, we
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So
Like you
somebody
said,
came
it's
up to
not,
me and said, "You lucky thing, you lucky thing. Why is it you leaving and not me?"
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I just happened to find the position I wanted,
Yeah,
so I'm very
that's
excited.
fantastic. And like you said, it's not that it's not rewarding, but
No.
you put in all this time and it I 100% agree with you. The stress levels, it is better now that I'm carnivore, but
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I do drive to work feeling good, like feeling grounded, feeling level. Other days I go
Yeah.
to work like, okay, how many hours to get through? Like, I'm just so nervous because, like, what's going to
Yeah.
happen today? Like, how many parent emails am I going to get? What new thing is going to come
Yeah.
down from the administration that I have to do? What incident is going to occur? Who's going to beat who up out at lunchtime on the playground or whatever?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you feel all that. It hasn't even happened yet, but,
No.
but it's like you're
I think I
preemptively
think
expecting it.
when you and I retire, we're going to thrive. I think we're going to
Yes.
thrive. And because we're so interested in the carnivore lifestyle, I know that there's a really, really improved chance that we're going to be super healthy and have loads of life left in us. That's the hope.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I that's my belief.
So BK says
Yeah.
I'm counting the months down for my retirement. 38 months to go. Maybe I need to put it into months. It'd be a lot of months, but still, if I could put it into months, I could like check them off. That'd be cool. I agree with you. I agree with you on the because people will even say like they're excited to retire, but then people retire and then they die. And I'm like, not me, not me.
Not really.
I feel like
That's not
I'm
the plan.
gonna, yeah, not at all. I feel like I'm gonna retire, and then with all that other stuff gone
Thrive.
from my life, like the stress, yeah, I'm gonna thrive even more because I'll still be eating
Yeah.
meat, and
Yeah.
I won't have all the other negative, negative impacts of all the other stuff going on. So
No,
yeah,
when somebody at work was turned 60, and I said to them, I'm actually really excited about turning 60. And she said, well, you won't be when you get here. And I thought, yes, but I've seen the way you eat. I'm actually planning to be very thriving and vibrant at 60. I'll be past my menopause. I won't be having my monthly cycles draining me of iron every month. I'm going to be literally just bouncing off the walls. And I'm going to be going around the world. I'm not planning to retire and die. No way. No,
yeah,
I'm going to be I'm going to be leading the way in healthiness at 60. I'm excited about it. I could be
yeah.
60 tomorrow. It wouldn't bother me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to keep in touch with you because we're the same age. I want to see us at 60 and
Yeah,
how we're doing. But speaking of
yeah.
eating meat and all of that, what does a typical day look like for you when you are eating carnivore? What kind of things do you like to eat?
I do really love a pre-cooked chicken cooked in beef fat, but my favorite thing
Ooh,
is
okay.
ribeye. It depends. Somebody asked me on an interview a few weeks ago what my favorite expensive thing would be, and that's ribeye with salmon cooked with king prawns. And I could have that at every
Mm,
meal. And if I could do that every meal, I would never have a problem doing this. Realistically, though, on my budget, it's more likely that I'm going to have. I love to slowly cook chicken thighs in the oven and then refry them in beef tallow. I just love the
okay.
taste. It's refried chicken and beef tallow just tastes like absolute heaven to me. And then I can have that on the side with some mince, but ground beef. Sorry, you call it ground beef. We call it
No, I've learned that you call it mince. So when you guys say mince, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do love fish though. I wish I could eat a lot more fish. I'd love to eat a lot more prawns and a lot more salmon. That would just make me so happy. But yeah,
Yeah, I am not the seafood person. It's like I wish I was because I know that there's some benefits with the omega-3s and the natural iodine and all that, but
uh,
yeah, I've never liked it my whole life. I used to eat it as a kid because my mom would force me, but I never learned to like it. But yeah, that ribeye, yes, one of my favorites. I do like the chicken in fat, but I'll usually do, well, actually, that's a new method for me. So I want to hear more about that, but I'll brush it with bacon fat, like liberally, just bacon grease that I've saved, just brush the whole outside of it and then put it in the air fryer or even like
mm,
shallow fry it in bacon fat. But that's a lot more
yeah,
messy and it takes longer and you have to babysit it more. So I find that if you just
yeah.
like salt it, put the bacon fat on there, throw it in the air fryer, it's delicious. I made some the other day and then I realized I was going to share it with my son and then I realized like it's not really enough to share and so I gave it all to him, sadly.
Oh,
Sadly for
oh,
one of
lovely.
us. Sadly for one of us. He went keto about almost 2 months ago now. I've been getting a lot of requests to make another update video, so I will be doing that
Mm,
because he'll be on April 1st, I guess. It'll be 2 months. But he has ADHD. And so to see the changes that he's
yeah,
noticed in just this time. Now it'll be
I'll
interesting
bet.
because he's 15. Today he has a social thing where he's going over to a friend's house. So we will see. We will
Fantastic.
see what choices he
Yeah,
makes. We will see if I he
yeah,
has some things. I don't know. We'll see what he does. He knows he hasn't he did okay. And one day his teacher gave him like a sucker for giving a right answer, and he goes, "Mom, I just like took the wrapper off and popped it in my mouth before I remembered." This was like maybe when he was about a weekend, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to be having this." So he like took it out of his mouth and threw it away. And I was like, okay, that was amazing because my sugar addicted brain
yeah,
could not have done that.
yeah.
But he just, oh, whoops, and threw it
No,
in the trash.
no.
So that was his only, thing that he's had that was off plan. But I'm sure that there will be it's like a bunch of kids are going to go hang out at another kid's house. And he's already been there once for a birthday party, but that was before keto. Right. So I'm
Yeah,
sure there's going to
yeah,
be teenager food, right? Chips, pizza, whatever.
yeah. And
So
also,
we'll
my
see.
my son's getting to the age where he wants to go. He's just started experimenting with a little bit of alcohol as well, and his friends are doing
Mm,
it. So, not in a big way. Not he's not. He's got good friends. They're not reckless, but he is going to want to experiment with, he's 18 now. He's going to
Right.
want to go into a pub for the first time. And I'm not going to say to him, oh, no, the other day he said to me, I think I might go keto again. I said, you don't need to. You look fabulous. You've got no health problems. Enjoy this time you've got with your friends, because they're all disappearing in different areas. One of them's going off to work with BA. One of them's going off to the army. One's going off to university. I'm like, just enjoy this time. You can get back to it at any time. You don't have to do it now. Enjoy yourself. But like
Yeah,
with your
that's
son, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's different with my son because of the ADHD, right? So it keeps him, and it's still, sadly, it's not really impacting his performance at school. Um,
good.
but I mean, he's still struggling with school, is what I mean. So he's improved in so many other ways, right? Like his attitude, his emotions, doing things at home without having to be asked 87 times. Like that's all changed for the
Yeah,
better.
that's good.
But schoolwork, he just doesn't want to do it. I'm like, you got to pass your classes though, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll see, when he's on it for longer. But it has made a huge difference in his overall like mental health, as well as, just how he can get along with the family. And just not
yeah,
being so argumentative and angry all the time.
yeah,
Um, which is just this
yes,
crazy difference because he's been angry since he's been able to talk.
yeah, yeah.
Just everything, because he has also sensory integration processing. So between the ADHD and the emotional
Mm,
dysregulation that can come along with that, and then the sensory integration processing, everything's like overwhelming his senses, and he just, so between those two things, he's just like quick. His little fuse is so short. Yeah, it's a night and day difference. So
yeah,
I'm very happy for him. He notices a difference. He's a teenager, so he's very like, he tries to be like laid back about it. But
yeah,
I know he notices a difference. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. Hopefully, he'll continue on. I mean, he agreed to 30 days and we're now going on 2 months. So, I mean, that's
brilliant.
good.
Yeah,
Clearly, if
no, it's
he didn't
amazing.
like it, or if he didn't think it was helping him, he would have quit. So, he
Yeah,
didn't.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
also have an 18-year-old. And yeah, he's not interested at all. So,
No,
you know.
but you're leading by example, though, aren't you? You're planting
Mhm.
seeds and leading by example. He knows that if he gets into trouble later on in his health, he's likely to come to you and go your way. That's all we can do: plant seeds in people and hope that they one day think, "Oh, I'm going to go that way," rather than being dragged down the dirty dozen with Michael Greger. We don't need them to do that. No,
I love how you call it the dirty dozen. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I
That's
can't
so
stop.
cool. I know.
I actually can't stop. I actually said that seriously then. I actually really do think it was called dirty. I've called it that so many times. I actually
Yeah.
thought it was the dirty dozen. What is it supposed to be? Daily dozen. That's it.
Daily dozen, but she calls it the dirty dozen, you guys. She's not wrong.
I know it just slips off the tongue. It just came out, and then it wasn't until afterwards I thought, what's it supposed to be? Daily, daily dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look at his pictures of his food, and my stomach will do somersaults. I've only got to have the smallest amount of plant food, and my tummy is not happy. So I know,
Mm,
you know, I may mess about sometimes, but my body knows what it wants, and it does shout at me very quickly if I mess up. It's not happy with me if I mess up. So
yeah.
I'm going to be eating this way for the rest of my life for the majority of the time, and I'm hoping all of the time. I may never be perfect. If anyone's thinking of joining my channel, I may never be 100% perfect. I may be forced to be. It may be that I do get something that I'm forced to be perfect, or I may be imperfect until I'm 120. Let's see how it goes. But I think there's hope for both of us.
Yeah.
I'd like to see where we are in 12 years' time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, I'm excited for it. Like,
yeah,
my
I am.
husband hasn't joined me yet, right? He's still very standard American. He ate a giant thing of pasta just last night. And when he talks about aging, he's just like, man, getting older sucks. And we're just
Yeah,
old. And he just says stuff like that
yeah,
all the time. And the aches and the pains and all this stuff. And it's like, I used to say stuff like, I mean, not in a bad
Yeah.
way, but just like, well, carnivore could fix that, or keto or something. Reduce your carbs a little bit.
Yeah.
You're a man, so it'll probably go easier for you. The weight loss and
Yeah.
all of that,
Oh, yeah.
And I
Oh,
stopped
don't get
saying
me
it.
started on the way
He
that
knows.
men lose weight stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. He knows. Sometimes I just look at him, you know, but I don't have those complaints anymore. Or like, I used to think it was funny, like we'd be watching like a stand-up comedian and they talk all the time about, yeah, and you just get this age and this happens and this happens. And it was
Yeah.
funny,
Yeah.
but it's not funny anymore to me. I hear that stuff and I'm
No.
like, well,
No.
A, it's not funny,
Well,
and B, that doesn't happen
no.
to me anymore. I
No.
can't relate.
No. No.
Um,
The way that I can switch on and off joint pain is still fascinating to me 9 years
yeah.
later. I can go on holiday, or, I can have a couple of days. I think that the other reason I think we can't underestimate the power of cultures, rituals. At Christmas this year, I did actually take off
Mm,
3 days. I said I'm going to take 3 days, and then on the 27th of December, I then started a lion diet for a few weeks to detox myself. So I went straight to beef and water to detox myself. But in those 3 days, my digestion was bad. My knees were creaking going up the stairs. I felt older. I felt less
mm,
optimistic.
mm.
And I just thought, I can't wait till 27th, because on the 27th I'm going to be eating beef and water for as long as I can, and I know I'm going to feel so much better, and my digestion improved, my joints improved, my mood improved instantly. And actually, it's still fascinating to me how this works. And like you said, if I see people moaning about their age, and I've seen men in their 30s moaning about pain in their body and saying, I'm just getting old. And I'm like, you're a 35-year-old man. Your body
Right.
should really not be giving up on you yet. If you think you're old and your body's giving up now, you're in
Hmm.
trouble.
Yeah.
you know,
I feel like
Whereas you
that's
and I
gotten
looking forward
younger
to being,
and younger.
yeah, yeah.
Like
I
the
don't feel
age
any
that
older than
people
I do.
complain.
Yeah, yeah. And we're at the age when people do start complaining about stuff and things going
Mhm.
wrong and going on medication and going, and I refuse. I will go to any great lengths not to go on any medication. But I didn't actually have to. I went to in the UK we don't have regular blood tests. I know that in the US I think you have more regular blood tests just out of because of your healthcare system. I'm not sure. But in the UK people only go to the doctor if there's something wrong. And somebody
Okay.
suggested I might be low in iron last year, and so I went had my first blood test in years, but everything came back perfect except for low in iron. So I'm now taking
Hmm.
a freeze dried supplement, which is a hunter and gather freeze dried lamb hearts, lamb kidneys, lamb liver,
Hmm.
and that
Okay.
seems to be helping me. I'm getting new hair growth. I've been suffering with my hair, but I have been getting new hair growth coming through, little curly bits coming through. So my hair's growing back. That's good. But yeah, the only thing the doctor could find wrong with me, I was panicking that they were going to call me in for a statin or something like that, and then I'd have to sit in there and have an argument with them because there's no way I'd go on anything like that. But
No.
everything else came back normal. No risk of diabetes, no risk for anything, just the iron. So I'm dealing with that. They asked me to ring them up and asked to come in for a supplement, and I didn't want to take any of their supplements. I wanted to deal with it myself.
Well,
I
you
just wanted
definitely
to get
want the heme iron. You don't want
yeah,
the plant-based iron or whatever that's not even
yeah,
really
no,
absorbable. So you're probably on the
no,
right track, I would say.
I hope so.
Non-medical
And
professional, though I am.
yeah. No, and also Dr. Paul Mason was saying about lowering tea and coffee because of the tannins, and that's preventing the iron absorption. So I had to cut back on that. I go on and off the tea and coffee because I enjoy it, and we just had a horrible winter in the UK. But now we're going into this. The weather's starting to warm up a little bit now, so I'm hoping to quit tea and coffee completely at Easter and just have that
Mm.
6 months of warm weather without any tea and coffee is the plan. And also, I have been suffering with heavy periods, which I've calmed down with some iodine. Um, and I'll do anything to avoid going on any kind of medication. I'll literally research anything to the nth degree, so I don't have to go down the path my mum went to. She was on medication for
Yeah.
everything, and and she loved it. She loved medication. You know, she was on
Wow.
thyroxine for she didn't question any of it, and I'm the
Mm,
complete opposite to her, and I do question everything. I
mhm.
sometimes drive the husband mad with my incessant questioning of things, but I think we have to. We can't trust. I don't think we can trust the information coming at us. We have to do our own research, and I will do whatever it takes to live a long,
Yeah.
healthy life and not have to go to the doctors for anything.
So I have a
Um,
question for you about iodine, but real quick, I just wanted to thank Dennis. So thank you so much, Dennis, because he became a member and then he actually gifted 5 Meeting Wellness memberships. That's so nice. I hope you're still watching and that was a while ago. I know that was at the beginning of the stream, but thank you so much for doing that. That is fantastic. So I started taking iodine back in October of last year, and I did the standard like 2 drops of is it the 2%? And then I watched a video recently with Dr. Barry, and it's like Dr. Greger or something like that. I forget the other doctor's name. Anyways, and of course, I've watched a lot of Dr. Bright. And so I
yeah.
recently, after that, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I upped it, to 3 drops. I was just curious, like how much iodine you're taking.
I'm only on a very small dose because when I do take it, I do seem to notice detox symptoms.
Oh,
I don't know whether that's I don't know whether that's in the UK. We just have a lot more heavy metals than over. But I tried to up my dose, and I started to notice some sort of funky symptoms, really. And then when I looked into it, people were saying that's your body detoxing from all the crap that's in the environment, and fluoride, and all sorts of other things. So I lowered it again. I thought, I'm working with children. I can't be feeling anything less than 100%. So I'm still only taking sort of 1 or 2 drops of a very low dose for now, just so that my body's getting some. I don't want to overdo it either.
yeah.
At some point, maybe during the summer holidays, or you call it vacation, don't you? Summer vacation. I
Mm-hmm.
might I might look into doing a proper detox protocol, by getting the correct. I think there's a book, isn't there? The iodine crisis book or something. There's a protocol that
Hmm.
you can follow. You have to overload and salt or something. I haven't looked into it. I am not in the
I
right
need to
place
look
in my
into
life.
that. Yeah, yeah. I need
Too
to look
scared to do
into
it
that.
because I don't know what the symptoms are going to be.
Mm,
I saw someone do a video on it saying about, oh, I knew what the symptoms were going to be, so I just wrote it out. And I thought, well, tell us what it is then, because I need to know if it's something I can
y-
actually physically do right now with the lifestyle I'm leading. I can't be going into an early years setting with babies, and I'm having all these weird symptoms like,
right,
I don't know,
right.
brain fog and things like that. So I need to look
Yeah.
into that before I explore it. So I'm only taking tiny amounts of iodine at the moment.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm too scared. I'm too
Someone
scared to up it.
on my Tuesday show, Lioness Lifestyle, someone was talking about like the autoimmune protocol. And I thought, if I do anything like that, it's going to have to be during my summer break. Like, there's
Yeah,
no way because of all, like what you just said, right? Like all of the
yeah,
things that I might experience, plus giving up. Now, I do mostly drink decaf coffee now, but I still have my 1 cup of caffeinated coffee in the morning.
yeah,
But yeah, to give up all the coffee, all those things I told you that I still have incorporated in there. The stevia I do is in
yeah,
my element, my electrolytes.
yeah,
But anyway, yeah, it would have to be during my summer break because I can only imagine I'll probably be like low energy, for a while. I was fortunate because, like I said, I'm the accidental carnivore over here, but it was June, so it was the very beginning of my summer vacation. So all
yeah,
those bathroom symptoms, the running to the bathroom emergencies that I
yeah,
had during
yeah,
those first, 3 weeks to a month, I was off school. I could not have done it
yeah.
being at school.
No,
I would have had to quit because you can't leave the classroom, like you're trapped there, you know,
no.
until recess or lunch or whatever.
Yeah. If I do a lion diet, I have to do it when I'm off school, because like the first time I tried lion diet, I was running backwards and forwards to the toilet for a few days,
Mm,
and that's not
mhm.
possible. I can't do that if I'm on some taking the children on some residential trip, and I'm back running backwards and forwards. It's all very well for some people that don't have those commitments to do all these
Right.
different experiments. But if you're living in a regular, or, well, trying to use the word diplomatically, but we're in a role where we are not, we don't want to be walking around with brain fog, running backwards and forwards to the toilet. We need to be able to concentrate on what we're doing, cope.
Mhm.
And we
Mhm.
can't just be doing detoxes at random. I'm just going to go on a
Right.
detox this week.
I know.
Yes, don't worry about me. I'm you lot look after the children. I'm just going to go and sit in the corner and detox. You know, it's just not going to happen.
No, I
You
know.
know?
I want to try there's a few things I want to try, like the castor oil. But again, it's like I've got to wait till summer because who knows what my body's gonna do if I put a castor oil pack on my liver. I'm afraid.
Yeah,
I'm afraid I will have symptoms that I can't, manage, during my classroom day. Well,
maybe you don't need to do it.
yeah.
Maybe
I
don't.
mean,
Maybe
maybe
don't need
not.
to.
Maybe not.
If you're getting
Maybe
all the
not.
results you want already, But
Yeah, that's true. So my mental benefits are still all there. My physical benefits are still all there. But I think, my past, although you didn't elaborate because you just said it's like all of the women our age. So I hear you. I definitely did the whole restrict calories, less
yeah,
fat. If I was reading a food label, it was because how many calories and how many fat grams. Like I could care less about what the ingredients were. If it was like low calorie, low fat grams, like I was all about it and counting
yeah,
calories. And I know that my
yeah,
metabolism was very damaged. So, all that to say, when I went carnivore, I actually put on some of that weight, that I had lost.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm eating a ton more, and I think my body needs it. So, it's like I'm not stressed about it. I was at first, it was, to watch that slowly creep on. But
yeah,
the more, and then I went back to tracking my food, and it's like, wow, I'm eating that many calories. Like that's actually kind of a revelation because oh my gosh, like I would definitely, although when I was doing keto, I restricted a lot less, but it was still, 13 to 1500 calories a day doing
yeah,
keto. And I was tracking because, and the reason I know that is because I was tracking for carbs, but when you use an app, it tracks everything. So, you see
yeah,
that too.
yeah, yeah,
And that was at the very beginning. I had just gotten into watching, Dr. Barry and like learning about all that stuff. So now I'm a lot closer to like 2000 calories a day. And I think that's probably healthy. And I think that my body
yeah,
is just like trying to regulate everything. And I'm just trying to like
yeah,
let my body do what it needs to do because all of the mental benefits, like I feel great. I have
yeah,
energy. I sleep great. So it's like, why am I going to worry about 15 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever? I'm not going to worry about that.
no, no.
So
And the older you get, the more the balance shifts, doesn't it? When you're in your
yeah.
20s, it's all about what you weigh. But as you get to your
Yeah.
40s, 50s, and 60s, you do start to panic more about your health. And we've all seen benefits that make us think, wow, I actually this could really work for me. I may not have to worry about my health if I do this. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yep.
but one thing I didn't mention though was that I was a slimming consultant as well back in the day. When
Oh,
my son was
okay.
when my eldest son was a baby, I was actually a slimming consultant. So I actually have done an apology video, by the way, on this. Somewhere down my video stream, there's a confessions of an ex-slimming consultant, and that's where I'm
Mm,
doing full apology. It's not like anyone that goes to that slimming club is going to see it, but I
mm-hmm.
now feel like I've done a public apology because I contributed to the screwing up the hormones and encouraging the low fat message, and I feel so guilty about that. And as a result of being, all the consultants were struggling as well. Um, I completely destroyed my metabolism. So it was no wonder when I got to this doing carnivore, I was never really going to be the one where the weight just rapidly falls off. It just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Whether
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
whether that's because I'm low in iron, or whether it's because I've been constantly stressed, or whether it's just that I just need to just be more perfect for longer, and that will come later. I think I will be a success at some point. I don't expect to be a complete carnivore failure for the rest of my life, but I do expect to be perfect at some point. It's just I don't know when yet.
Well, I would say
Hopefully
that
in the future.
you're not a failure. You're a success. I think you're a success. I think obviously the more perfect you are, right? You probably might have had more success, but I think you've experienced a lot of success. I mean, enough to know that you've been trying at this and keeping at it for 9 years. Like I think that's fantastic. I think, and life
Yeah,
happens, right? Like the situation with your mom and all of that stuff. So I for one applaud you, and I wanted to leave with this idea because it kind of struck me. You talked about having an expensive carnivore day, and no one had ever said that to me before. Although you said it because you're talking about when I feel like eating some carbs. instead of eating carbs, I'm going to have an expensive carnivore day. And I said, that's really cool. I don't really want to eat carbs, but I do want to celebrate the start of my summer vacation and have an expensive carnivore day. Can you talk a little bit about that? And like, I know you said what you like to do, but how does that help you? It might help somebody else. It's a tip I haven't heard anywhere else before.
Well, it all started when one day when my mother was in hospital and she was having, and I was actually on the meat wagon at the time, and she actually had an anaphylactic shock from a dose of chemo, and she actually nearly died in front of me, and I was so stressed. And then later on that day, I wanted to eat, and I went into a shop that we have in the UK called M&S, Marks and Spencer's. It's quite a posh food shop, really. And I thought about having all these nice things, but in the end, I was like, oh gosh, how much is that going to cost? And if I have, oh, that's going to cost far too much money. And I ended up just having a sandwich. And when I got home, I was in so much regret, because then the sugar cravings came back, and then and then I was probably off the meat train for a few weeks then, because of this decision I'd made. And I said to myself, in future, if you're in that situation where you are probably not in the best of moods, you've found yourself in a situation where you need to find food and it's going to cost you some money, just do it. Because in that moment, if I had had the salmon and the different things that I thought about having, I would have still carried on being carnivore when I got home and stayed carnivore. But I made a silly decision on money. And so now, like you mentioned in my video before, now it's a case of just have an expensive carnivore day, you know, to hell with the money. Tomorrow you can go back to normal carnivore days with your normal budget. But if this day calls for an expensive carnivore day, just do it. Have the salmon and the king prawns and the ribeye, and have 10 ribeyes if you want. It doesn't matter how much it costs. And then you will end the day as carnivore, and you'll get up tomorrow, you'll still be carnivore, and then you keep going. And I regret that decision. And I still remember standing in that shop that day. I mean, I'd had a horrible day. I did think my mum was about to die, but still, I could have, if I'd have really thought about it, I could have just said, just have all those nice things. Just have all the, to hell with money. And I didn't. And I had a sandwich. And I still remember standing there making that poor decision. And I now I think, you know, so if I think I'm going to have a really bad day now, or I'm just going to have all the nice things, have the pre-cooked salmon, have the, you know, the best beef, the best everything.
Yeah.
And then I can go to bed feeling, you know, I had a horrible day, but I got through it.
Yeah.
I spent a bit more money, whatever.
But you would feel good. You'd feel satiated. You wouldn't have had sugar craving. Like you were basically just compounding your problems, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking back, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then you've got, and it's, if you make the right choice, and you've got self-care as well, then you don't feel so rubbish. I still remember the day. So yeah, that's the birth of my expensive carnivore day thing.
Well, I love that. I'm taking it, and I'm just yeah. I'm taking your idea and I'm just putting a little twist on it. That's how I'm going to start my summer vacation with an expensive carnivore day. Not because I'm stressed out, because I'm celebrating on that day.
Celebrating life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, I would like to thank you again for coming on and chatting with me today. This has been such fun. It's been great to get to know you. It's always fun to meet someone your own age as well. And we're both teachers, so it's pretty cool. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.
Yeah, celebrity. Thank you very much, Christy. Take care.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.